meeting for the Tippecanoe County Area Plan Commission for October 16th, 2024. And first on the agenda is the roll call.
It's on.
Thank you. Jackson Bogan. Larry Leverance.
Here.
Gary Schroeder.
Here.
Vicky Pearl.
Here.
Jerry Reynolds. Greg Jones.
Here.
Todd Swarsky.
Here.
Diana Looper.
Here.
Carla Snodgrass.
Present.
Rabita Rashganikar.
Present.
Tom Murtaugh.
Present.
Steve Snyder. Tracy Brown.
Present.
Jason Domkowski.
Here.
Lisa Dullum.
Here.
Kathy Parker.
Here.
Jody Hamilton.
Here.
Quorum present.
Very good. And I understand Mr. Jackson will be joining us soon. Next on the agenda is a briefing session.
Good evening. Case Z2946 Wheezy and Wheezy LLC has been continued to the November meeting. Z2947 Red Tail Properties Group has also been continued to the November meeting. All cases are ready to be heard otherwise.
Very good. Thank you, John. Next on the agenda is approval of minutes, Larry.
I move to approve the minutes from the September 18th, 2024 public hearing as submitted.
I second.
Any comments or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Any new business? No. Public hearing. So I have a statement I need to read. For those of you unfamiliar with our procedures, the commission would like for you to know the following. When we hear a request to subdivide land, we are only concerned as to whether the actual drawing showing the division into lots meets the technical requirements of our ordinance. The question of appropriateness has already been determined. Anyone wishing to make a comment or provide us with information regarding any subdivision petition will be given an opportunity to do so. When we're hearing a request for a change in zoning, we're trying to determine if the new zone being requested and the uses allowed in that zone are appropriate to that property and supported by the comprehensive plan. With each case being heard, our staff will present its report. The persons requesting the rezone will be given an opportunity to speak. Following that, those of you wishing to speak in favor of the rezone will be recognized, and then those who wish to oppose it will have a turn. This will be your only time to speak. The person requesting the action will be allowed a rebuttal. Plan Commission members will then ask questions and finally vote. Please limit your statements no more than 5 minutes. We ask that you not repeat what others before you have already said. We are a 17-member body and a majority of 17 and 9. Regardless of how many commissioners are actually present, at least 9 votes in favor or 9 votes against are required for our action to be official. If fewer than 9 of us agree to either approve or disapprove an action, the case must be heard again next month. Our vote on a request to subdivide is final. Our vote on a request to rezone serves only as a recommendation to the appropriate city council, town council, county commissioners who must ultimately decide on changes in zoning. When addressing the commission, please state your name and address for the record. Cell phones must be turned off while the meeting is in session. If you need to make a call, please step out of the room before using your phone. All exhibits presented to commissions become property of the commissions. And do you have a sign-in sheet for speakers that we want to sign? So if you speak, they'll have a sign-in sheet for you to sign, and the record can show that Mr. Jackson has arrived. So, Larry.
I move that there be incorporated into the public hearing portion of each application to be heard this evening and to become a part of the evidence at such hearing, the Unified Zoning Ordinance, the Unified Subdivision Ordinance, the Comprehensive Plan, the bylaws of the Area Plan Commission, the application and all documents filed therewith, the staff report and recommendation on the applications to be heard this evening, and responses from the checkpoint agencies.
I second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Continuances.
I move to continue Z 2946 Weesey and Weesey LLC and B to GB and Z 2947 Red Tail Properties Group LLC R1 to I3 to the November 20th APC public hearing.
I second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Rezoning activities. On the first case, I need to recuse myself, so.
All right, I'm going to make the motion and then go ahead and chair the meeting as well. I move to hear and vote on Z 2943, Vita Investment Holdings LLC, Paul Ezekiel Turner, Vita Lifestyle PD or Lafayette PD, PDMX to PDMX.
I second.
Larry. Or somebody.
He just,
He disappeared.
I think we're trying to get the clicker to work.
Go ahead and present petitioner on behalf of the owners requesting a PDMX zoning for approximately 26 acres for a planned development, mixed use with for 204 units. This is a change in the previously approved planned development, which was 463 maximum units. There will also be a second lot, which will be standard GB zone development with some additional use restrictions that they've worked with the city and our department to get out some, to prevent some of the more intrusive neighboring zones or uses. The major change here is that it is going from 163 units to 204 units. As we can see here, the PDMX, the boundary is still the same. Currently, it's an empty farm field. This is our new site plan. If you'll see the major multifamily building in the middle, on one side of it's being extended to add an additional 40 units inside of the 3 to 4 story building. Most of the duplexes or quadplexes are very similar to what was there before. So the petitioner has stated they felt they could use an additional 40 more units. All the amenities are still there that were approved in the previous plan. And we're recommending favor.
Thank you. Does the petitioner or petitioner's representative wish to make a presentation?
Ryan Munden with RTS Law here on the behalf of the petitioner Vita Investment Holdings LLC. Lafayette City Council approved this PD unanimously back in May. Since that approval, as Larry mentioned, the petitioner has determined that the market could support additional units. So they're requesting the new PD, which is just increasing the unit count by 41 units. As Larry mentioned, everything else is staying substantially the same. Amenities are the same. The connection to the Park East Trail network is remaining the same. So with that, we concur with staff's report and recommendation, and we respectfully request your approval. Happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Ryan. Anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the petition? Any questions from the commissioner? Okay, you have a yellow ballot.
We have 15 yes votes.
Thank you. This case will receive recommendation for approval and will now be heard by the Lafayette City Council at their November 4th meeting. Would somebody bring Gary back in, please?
Oh, next case.
I move to hear and vote on Z 2944, the Heartland Concept LLC, R1B to NBU.
I second.
Okay. The site we're talking about this evening is at the northeast corner of Virginia and South 16th and Lafayette. And if you notice, this is the beginning of a large residential area, just one property south of the commercial corridor of Cassuth Street between 14th and 18th Street. I zoom into the property here. Some of you might remember this building. When I was young, I remember this was a radiator shop. As we looked into this, back to 1960, this had been used commercially, this property. In the staff report, we talk about the zoning history, how there was a petition to rezone this to legitimize the use, but it was denied by city council back in 1963 or 8, I can't remember. So this property has always operated commercially in a residential zone, as best as we can tell, long enough to be grandfathered in. However, since this has been vacant for more than a year and petitioner has bought the property, there is a desire to bring the commercial zoning to allow the building to be used as it was once built. The NBU zoning that's requested would allow for residences on the upper floors, which is clearly how this building had been built. The north half of this lot is a 2-story addition that's set up for apartments upstairs with a commercial first floor. The Cassuth Street corridor is, as we called in our report, robust. There are very little vacancies. It's a very active area. The impact of this lot being used commercially has been around so long that staff can support the commercial zoning to help let this building live its life as a commercial structure with residences above as it was originally built. So staff is recommending approval.
Thank you, John. Petitioner, the representative, wish to speak.
Hi, my name is Alec Williams. I'm the owner of the Heartland Concept. Thank you for having me today. My address is 1007 Elliott Street, Lafayette, Indiana, just a few blocks from this building itself. We own boy, a little nervous, my apologies. We renovate homes in the area. We have worked in real estate for a long time. We have a brokerage firm as well as we build new construction as well. We've invested heavily into this area, specifically where our personal home is and about 7 of our other properties. This building in particular has been in our sites for about 5 years. We got lucky enough to meet the current owner of it, who sold it to us in August. And when we were going through the zoning, we noticed it was R1B, obviously not the intended use of that property. Like John said, it was a radiator shop. It turned into an auto body shop, and then it sat vacant for about 7 years. It's in complete disrepair, as you can see from the roof. We've got tons of leaks. It's going to need some extensive work, but we do have a good plan for it. We have a 2-bedroom, 1 bath that we're going to be putting on the upstairs unit, which will have a separate entrance. We're finally able to expand our offices into the lower floor. And then on the 3-bay cart on the side, we plan to partner with a local pizza shop that we'd like to put maybe a restaurant in there as well. I think it would lend well to the other restaurants that are around that location, including Great Harvest and Checkerboard and a few others. And again, this is an area we've personally invested heavily in, and we'd like your approval on the rezoning.
Very good. Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone in the, we may have some questions for you in a little bit.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody in the audience wish to speak in favor of this? Anyone opposed? Questions or comments from the commission? Hearing none, we have a yellow ballot.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have 15 votes in favor of recommendation.
Thank you, John. So that case received a positive recommendation and will now be heard by the Lafayette City Council at their November 4th meeting. Claire.
I move to hear and vote on Z 2945 Enclave on Klondike LLC, GB to R3.
I second.
Okay, so this site takes us to the west side of town here in Wabash Township on the west side of Klondike Road. The property shown on the screen is just north of the Lafayette Venetian Blind Plant on Klondike Road. And the request is to rezone from the general business zoning that it currently exists to R3. As many of you are aware, this area is part of the Wabash Tippecanoe Township Land Use Plan that we spent a considerable amount of time coming up with. The plan calls for this type of use in this area, so we're able to support it. One of the big things about this case I want to point out with the non-binding site plan I'm going to show you here is the completion of a road, a public road on the southern end of this project. Maitland Drive in Blackthorn currently stops with the intention for it to be completed someday. The residents of the neighborhood to the west have one way in and out, which has kind of been a pinch point for emergency responders. So getting a second way in and out to this property to Klondike is really a win-win for the area. And the fact that the township plan allows for this type of density in this area, staff was able to support it. Any questions? Be happy to answer.
Very good. Thank you, John. Petitioner or the representative.
Ryan Munden with RTS Law here on behalf of the petitioner Enclave on Klondike LLC. As always, thank you to APC staff for their thorough overview of the project. A few highlights I'd like to hit or reiterate are one, as John mentioned, the significant benefit of the project is Maitland Drive. One additional aspect of that is I understand right now students wanting to cross Klondike to get to the school have to go up to 52, and there's a sidewalk up there to cross Klondike. The Maitland Drive extension will include a pedestrian crossing across Klondike as well, which will be much safer for people walking to the school. This will not be marketed as student housing. Petitioner is planning on approximately 240 to 280 units. Some of these units will have garages. We've talked a lot about the need for housing and housing of all types, and this project serves that need. Also, the amenities planned include a clubhouse and a pool. So with that, we concur with staff's report and recommendation. We request your recommendation of approval. Happy to answer any questions you have.
Very good. Thank you, Ryan. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this? Anyone in opposition? Questions or comments from the commission? Hearing none, we have a yellow ballot.
We have 15 votes in favor.
Thank you, John. So that case received a positive recommendation for approval and will be heard at the county commissioners meeting on November 4th. So next.
I move to hear and vote on Z 2948 Skiage Enterprises Incorporated, I3 to R3. R2? R.
Now we have our three.
Oh, but, I'm
Thanks for
sorry.
checking. No,
I
you-
second.
Different on mine.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, it is.
We'll be doing the presentation on 49 and 48 together. But they'll be voted separately.
Okay, tell me that again.
48 and 49 will be presented together, but voted separately.
Okay, why don't we go ahead and put 49 on the floor also? That's just an.
Can you have two motions on the floor at the same time? Okay,
Okay,
all right.
we're together, voted separate.
I move to hear and vote on Z 2949, Skiage Enterprises Incorporated, I3 to R2.
I second.
Okay, very good. So we'll hear those together, vote on them separately. Thank you, Larry.
This picture here gives a better representation of what we're requesting. 48 is the smaller piece on the east side of the property or on the right. It will be combined with the R3 piece to the east. That petition is for 6 acres going. Sorry, here, mixing up my cases also. That piece is for 6 acres, being rezoned from I3 to R3. The second case is for the I3 to I2 portion. It's for 39 acres. It is on the west side of this drawing. The two developments will more than likely be developed together. We have a non-binding site plan that shows a development here. This is again, this is on the west side of the county, just west of Cumberland, or Klondike, sorry. West of the Klondike and Cumberland intersection along County Road 250 North. It's currently zoned I3. It was zoned I3 in the early 90s for a small brewery that never happened. Petitioner has submitted a rezone for multifamily and duplex housing. The current development pattern for the R2 zoning is one large lot, many multi or duplexes, normally under the same ownership. That's the current style that we're seeing. Private roads that are similar to private roads, but private drives primarily, managed and maintained by the homeowners association or the property owner. As you can see, the general layout here. This is also part of the recently completed Wabash Township plan. That plan did call for single family housing in this, lower density single family housing. The main purpose for that recommendation, if you look at the larger area, is that County Road 250 North has not been improved yet. It's a 2-lane road with no shoulders. The increased traffic along here, it is concerning for staff. And at best, it's premature until the road can get improved to accommodate the additional traffic that will surely be here for the additional units. That's staff's primary recommendation is based off the road conditions and the recently approved plan. We're recommending denial of both cases.
Very good. Thank you. Petitioner.
Thank you. Good evening, Chris Shellman of Gutwein Law, 250 Main Street, here on behalf of petitioner Skiage. As staff pointed out, this is a request for sort of a planned community of multiple housing types. You'd have some garden style apartments, some single family homes that would be more of a cottage style, and some duplex housing units. We believe that this proposal is consistent with the area uses and is essentially an extension of the Lindbergh Village neighborhood that's just to the south. You'll find over 90 duplexes just to the south, as well as small cottage style homes right there. As you all know, because it's in large part to your private and professional and public duties, the area is growing. You've been successful in that, and we have a housing shortage and need more houses over the next 5 to 6, 7 years. The area that's out here looks like there's more opportunities for development than there actually are. You have a couple factors that lead to these issues. So you have the availability of utilities. This site has utilities and is ready to go. Some of the other areas we talked about, or the staff mentioned the land use plan, and there were a couple areas that were immediately west of the site right here that were suggested for moderate dense housing, and we think we're providing that moderately dense housing. And we don't think that the land use plan is wrong. We just think it's shifted a little bit over. Ultimately, this site, as I think you've seen from some other uses and subdivisions here, was being held out for some larger single-family homes. This site, currently zoned industrial, we think we can bring that down and provide a product that will provide affordable housing for families and just another housing option. Ultimately, the staff's concerns related to 250, we think those will be addressed over time, and we think they'll be addressed as our project develops. Our project actually could be the impetus for the development of that area. It's sort of a chicken and the egg conundrum. But what we would propose is that all of these projects, all of those details will be worked out as the project moves forward and we get into final planning. Any public improvements, additional sidewalks, bus stops, all those things would happen at the next phase of this development. We certainly would be happy to answer any questions that you have, but ultimately, we think this is a modest addition to existing uses in the area that's surrounded by other R3 duplex and similar uses. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Chris. Anyone from the audience wish to speak in favor of this project?
Okay, I'm Kathy Russell, and I'm the trustee for Appellate Land Trust who owns this property. And I don't have any prepared notes, but I just wanted to say that, this council begged us to rezone this to R3 when we bought it 20 years ago because it's I3. We've had opportunities to sell it to factories. We even had some guy that wanted to raise mice out there, and we thought that would be bad for the neighborhood. And we think this is the perfect plan for this area because it's not high rise. It's works in great with Lindbergh Village. And we just think it's the ideal plan to put in there. Okay.
Very good. Thank you, Kathy, if you sign in over there.
Oh.
Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone wishing to oppose this petition?
Steve Clevenger, 4011 Black Forest Lane. And I'm not opposed to this being developed, but I would like to see the plan that we just approved followed, meaning single family houses rather than apartments and duplexes. I can see maybe if a few duplexes or something where the apartments are, and then, R1, R1A, R1B for the rest of it. I am extremely concerned about 250 with the increased traffic on 250 and pedestrians walking up and down 250. Right now, there are some, but I'm afraid that with apartments and duplexes that you're going to have a lot more people trying to walk to get to the buses on Klondike Road. And at night, it is very dark and somebody's going to get hit if, something's not improved. There needs to be a plan for a trail or a sidewalk before any high density or medium density development goes up in this area. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Steve. If you'd sign in over here, please. Anyone else wishing to speak against this petition? Questions or comments from the commission?
I would just like to say that, I certainly appreciate the plan and the effort that was put into the plan that was done, but I do not see that we're wandering off that plan very far by approving this. Since we have R3 to the east and we have R2 immediately to the south of this piece of property. Plus, it makes me nervous that piece of property is currently zoned I3. I think this project makes perfect sense.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing?
I have a
questions or-
couple questions.
Here you go.
It seems to me the major issue is the improvement piece for safety reasons. So, and we've done this before in asking the developer to commit to those improvements as part of the project. And maybe that's something that you can speak to. Specifically for pedestrian traffic in the area. If you're going to build the density there, somebody's going to have to address that immediately.
There's a couple complications with, I mean, certainly the developer, just to be clear, is willing to work with the county and the APC and to, you know, discuss what would work and figure out a process that makes sense. We want our residents to be happy and we want a project that works, right? We can see with the mix of housing that's provided and the different options, it's certainly not maxed out. Yes, you know, the subdivision process would clearly be an opportunity for us to contribute land and improvements to provide that first step. Obviously, or just as a point, we do not have the authority that the government does to go put it on somebody else's property. So we can certainly help and are willing to do that and commit on our property, but you know, actions taken off on other people's property or something that would have to be handled differently. But I would submit that there's two types of development. There's infills in area that are already you know, developed around it. This isn't that, but it is a project that would be an impetus that will change that industrial area and be the first step in the right direction towards the housing and the walking and all of the things that everybody wants in the community.
I'd just like to echo Commissioner Murtaugh's comments that having 45 acres of I-3 in the middle of a housing area, if you will, that's large enough to do something with it. And that it makes me pretty nervous. And so the ability to change it to R3 and R2 and keep it consistent with the surrounding area is very appealing to me.
Anyone else? Hearing none, we have two yellow we have yellow ballots, so we have two of those. We can vote on them together, just separate them when you pass them in, so John can sort them out.
48.
Good idea. 48.
48's there.
Thank you. 48 first.
49.
Thank you, Larry.
Certainly. $48, $49.
We got 13 yeses and 2 nos for 2948. And 13 yeses and 2 nos for 49.
Very good. Thank you, Larry. So both of those cases received a recommendation of approval and will be heard at the County Commissioners meeting on November 4th.
At 3 p.m.
Thank you. I was going to ask that 3 p.m. Okay.
due to election voting
Okay.
that morning.
Very good. Ready for the next case. Where we at? Where we at? We're done already. So we're now administrative matters. Does the staff have any administrative matters?
I think Ryan will be delivering the commission or the executive director's report for October will be combined with November. So that was why none was sent out this month.
Okay, I know he's off at the MPO conference. Approval of the November Executive Committee agenda. Nothing there. Determination of variances.
I move that the following requests for variance from the Unified Zoning Ordinance are not requests for use variance prohibited from consideration by ordinance and statute. BZA 2174 Madeline Romeo and BZA 2176 Peninsula Point Flats LLC.
A second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. And as he said, the director's report will be combined. So citizens' comments and grievances. Hearing none, I'll take that last motion.
I move we adjourn.
We're adjourned. Thank you, guys.
Wow.
Yes, you don't know me, but you may know my wife. Okay. Sandra.
I think a lot of folks stayed around.
Yes. You have a